Hi, this is your host, Sheena.
And I am your co-host, Lelia.
Welcome to the Apprentice Advantage.
Yes, and I am so excited because we are now on episode 6.
Yes.
So we were able to interview a lot of interesting folks. I know the first person we interviewed was Dan Weigel from Apprenti.
Yeah. It was really cool to just get that national overview of what Apprenti is.
And I loved his passion. He had this strong passion for what he did and why all employers should buy into the idea of apprenticeship.
Yeah, and since then we've had so many different kinds of guests who show different facets of the program too. After that we had John and Jean Lang from Academy
And
Pittsburgh.
did you see John's jacket
Oh my
at the CIO of the Year Awards?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Academy Pittsburgh was nominated for CIO of the Year award, and they came in just looking like stars.
They came in looking like rock stars. They really came. They showed up and showed out. But then our third guest, we had Marie Poloni.
We sure did.
Yes. Marie is always a joy to have.
And also a joy to have as a coworker.
Yes.
Oh, but also do not forget our first apprentice that we interviewed, Ivan Gunn.
He was so inspiring. He shared so much information about the program, but I really loved, again, his passion for the work and the appreciation he had for the employer who gave him the position. That was really great.
That was awesome.
Yes. Now, today, I am so honored to welcome our guest, Lainey. Lainey is an apprentice. You are one of our first apprentices. You were hired with Wolfe. We actually interviewed Wolfe or in our last podcast. We were able to interview Nada. She was really great and she spoke really highly of you. I cannot wait to hear all about you. So tell us your story. What brought you to Apprenti? Why did you choose Apprenti? And what were you doing before?
Sure. So first of all, thanks for having me. Very excited to be here. I joined Apprenti after kind of reevaluating where I was at in my career. Before coming into Apprenti, I worked in an early childhood nonprofit as a communications coordinator. And I was there for about 3 years. I had some conversations with some leadership there, and I found that there really wasn't much upward mobility in the job that I was working at. And for my salary, too, it would be capped at what I was at basically for pretty much forever, for as long as I was there. So I was looking at my goals. What do I want to do in the next 5 years? And I thought, okay, if I want to achieve those goals, then I need to think about how can I do that in this role that I'm in when I'm not having really this chance to move upward. So I looked for other work, other jobs in the field, and I was having a hard time getting traction there. I do not have a degree in marketing. I have a degree in education and English. And I was finding that in a lot of the jobs, it felt like I needed to have a higher degree, but I already have student debt. I didn't want to go back into school and get even more for a master's degree specifically. That's so much more money that I just don't have. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? I was feeling stuck. I wasn't sure what to do next. And I actually saw the Pittsburgh Technology Council newsletter, and there was a little section about Apprenti. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that's about. And it talked about entering the technology field with a non-traditional background. And I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. The most experience I had with coding, quote unquote, at that point was adding a MySpace background template. So that's where you copy and paste in the HTML. So not really coding, but something. I can maybe change text somewhere, but that's all the experience I had. But I knew that tech was a great field to be in. I hadn't really had any exposure to it before then. Both of my parents were teenage parents, didn't go to school, didn't go to college. So I never really was exposed to technology. I didn't see how anybody could get into that field. I didn't really know what that looked like. So I started researching into it a bit, and it sounded like it was something that would mesh really well with how my brain works. It's a lot of figuring out problems, solving puzzles. And I was like, you know what? I think that not only would I like that, I think that I'd be good at it. So I was like, you know what? I'll take the leap. I'll apply. I'll see what happens. And here I am now.
That is amazing. I know that you said you saw this in our newsletter.
Mhm.
Where did you see the newsletter?
So I was subscribed to the newsletter because I had a connection to another nonprofit called Computer Reach, which works with digital literacy in Pittsburgh and digital access. So making sure that people can access and purchase very affordable computers if they didn't have one already. I was subscribed to it through like just learning more about technology in Pittsburgh specifically so that I could share out those resources within that network. So that's how I saw it.
Cool. Nice. Obviously, instead of going to school, you joined Apprenti and you went through the 12-week bootcamp program with Academy Pittsburgh, who we gave a shout out to in our intro. How was that bootcamp experience? Was there like anything in particular you found like very challenging or very rewarding?
So I loved my experience with Academy PGH. And also, I really need to see that jacket you were talking about that John wore because
It was an amazing jacket. It had sparkles and everything. Yeah.
That's
no
right.
one could miss him.
Yeah. Yeah, like John's personality, Jean's personality. They are such engaging people. They're so fun. They have such a creative way to talking about coding and software development. Initially, so like the format for anybody who doesn't know is you go through 12 weeks. They cover a bunch of different languages, like coding languages, but just like the surface of it. You don't have time to get very in depth. So you're learning a lot of information about a lot of different things. And that might sound like daunting, and it is a lot, but the way that they format it is you have these fun projects. So one of them is to make this like digital garden box. It's a very common like beginner's coding challenge where essentially you have to calculate using coding how much dirt do you need for this digital garden box, and then how many seeds could you buy and how much money would it cost, and then with the area of your box and the seeds that you have, how much money would you need to grow something fruitful. So it's fun. I thought that was really fun. I was like, whenever I thought of coding before, it just was this thing that seemed impossible, so difficult. Like, I definitely couldn't do that. Like, the people who do that must be super smart and just like out of this world. That was my perception before.
Right.
But whenever I started getting exposed to it, I was like, you know what? This is like very achievable for somebody who has no experience. If you work your way from the bottom and then learn those key pieces, you can grow really fast. Challenges, again, main challenge is just the amount of information. A big thing to think about is like there's a lot of pressure to know everything that they've taught you, but you don't need to memorize all of it. You need to know the concepts of it. That's what really matters. Whenever you actually begin the apprenticeship, you take those concepts, you apply it to the language that you're learning, and you build from there. So it was really fun, really rewarding, really informational, and John and Jean are amazing.
That's cool.
Awesome.
That's cool. I know when I went to culinary school, I was able to do all the things in school. I did a lot of hands-on. We learned the cuts, learned the techniques, but it was completely different when I went on the job. When I started to work in a kitchen under a German chef, by the way, it was like, oh my goodness, it was a whole new world.
Yeah.
So I know it had to be like that for you in tech. So you're in RTI, you're learning all the things with John and Jean, but then you transition into on-the-job training. So how was that? Was it like, oh my goodness, or do you feel like you really were prepared for this, or are there things that you wish you would have known?
So starting on the job training was daunting because there's a bunch of existing code that's already a thing. There's already so much there that you just don't already have knowledge of. And I went in the first week, I remember asking myself, like, what's a pull request? What's Bitbucket? I was using a MacBook. I had never used a MacBook before. I've only ever used like a Windows computer. So I was like, there's already that. I was like, okay, it's a good thing to know. I was happy to have the challenge, but it definitely took some time. Like it took me maybe like a week or two with a lot of hand-holding from my tech lead. And he was, I think, my supervisor or mentor or something like that, Mitch Hoffman at Wolfe. And I asked him so many questions. And I'm very grateful that he gave me the time because the amount of questions that I asked was huge for the first 2 weeks. But then as I went on and got more exposure, so I started small. Okay, here's a task. Go and change the text on a button. Like just read the code, figure out what it's saying, and then try to make this small change, then get experience actually making a pull request in Bitbucket. Like it was so the Academy did expose me to all of the coding concepts, but the actual like implementation of, okay, here's Bitbucket, here's whatever you're using, making a pull request and having to resolve merge conflicts with existing code. That was all like, this is all I had some level of exposure, but it's all different because
Yeah.
now it feels like it has consequences. Like before, it was my little project, my garden box that I put somewhere, but now it's like an actual product that's out and about that people are engaging with, buying from. So I was like, ooh, it's a lot. It gets easier with time. I'd say the first couple weeks are the most nerve-wracking, but I think within 3 or 4 months, I was way more comfortable. I think that's pretty typical for any job.
And that's one thing I love about Apprenti is because we're not taking you out of training. We're not taking you out of school and just saying, here's the real world, go into the job and figure it out. That year of on-the-job training is to really get you acclimated to the culture, understanding what the need is for that specific organization. Do you believe if you would have just, let's just say we talked about you going back to school for your master's degree, do you believe that you could have went to school, received a master's degree, then went right into an organization and just started work and been as successful as you are today without that year of on-the-job training that Apprenti offers?
So if I decided to go the college route, the master's degree, a big part of that is there's no guarantee. So you can go, you can take out more loans, I love higher education. I think it's amazing. I think it's life-changing. But it is something that is a commitment. You're committing to taking on those loans if you don't have money to put towards tuition. And there's no guarantee that you'll get anything out of it specifically at the end, especially in the job market as it is now. So that's another hesitation of, should I even consider going back to college? Because if I go and do all this, what if I come back out and I have no job? And now I'm in a worse place than I am now because I can't pay my student loans at all. So if I hadn't done Apprenti, I honestly would probably still be at my job where I am now and like maybe trying to find different positions. I don't think I would be as successful as I am now.
Oh, I definitely understand that feeling of uncertainty. But you have since finished that on-the-job training, are now working full-time with Wolfe. Could you tell us a little about like your current role and like your day-to-day projects?
Yep. So my current role, I think they just changed my title. I think it's software engineer 2, so a mid-level part of my career. And my day-to-day is I work on a product called perfectgift.com. We sell customizable gift cards, digital, physical, and we'll talk more about Wolfe later, I'm sure. But my role is basically to add additional features. That's been a big part of my work lately. So one of the things I did recently was a very big project to add a whole new product offering that's specifically targeted towards businesses. So say you want gift cards for your staff and you want to put your company logo on it. I built a whole new way in a product so that people can do that very easily on our site. So that's something that just didn't exist before, like on our site specifically, before maybe 2 weeks ago. I do a lot of other stuff though. I've done stuff with chat bots. I've done stuff with emails, the back end work, the front end work. I do lots of it.
Oh, that's a pretty broad range. Do you have anything in particular that you really like?
I really like the big projects. So like the one I just talked about, the logo on a card, that was a huge project. And at first it's okay, it's a little daunting, but I like the feeling of achievement of getting that big thing over the finish line. I like making checklists. I like organizing things. So that's why I like coding works very well with my brain.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you have a big project, give it to me. I'm ready to go. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. So I know Wolfe has a really unique mission when it comes to gifts and gift cards. Do you know the story behind why Wolfe decided to give gift cards the way they do? And are you able to tell us about that story?
Yes. So I will not be able to do it as well as Jason Wolfe, the founder and CEO. He has an amazing story. He is great at talking about the mission of Wolfe, but I will give you a TLDR version of it. Before I came into Wolfe, knew nothing about gift cards. I would know like the average consumer, like I got a gift card and I used it. That's basically all I knew. And then I came in, Jason and everybody shared their stories and knowledge about the market. And I learned that within the gift card business, there is a big issue with fraud and like shady dealings of like people buying gift cards to use as basically like secret money or like off the grid money to use it for like illegal activities typically. So Jason saw that as an issue, and it is an issue. Like one thing that happens to regular people is if you go to Giant Eagle or a store and you get a gift card off like a rack, there are some people who will go and mess with those and then make it so that they steal your funds as soon as it's loaded. So that's just an issue that exists in the gift card world. And Jason wanted to tackle that and make it so that if a person's buying a gift for someone, the person actually gets that gift. And also the part of it where gifting is like sharing a happy moment with someone. Sometimes we think of gift cards as, oh, somebody didn't have a gift and last minute they went and got something from the store. We're reframing it to where gift cards and gifting in general is something beautiful. It's something loving. You can add a picture to it. You choose a design that you want, make it special for the holiday. And the cool thing about our product is that we have this thing called card link gifting, which is something very different from what already exists in the gift card world, where you can buy somebody a digital gift, say it's a Visa, say it's a card for Lowe's or Target or wherever you want it. And you can link it to your debit or credit card. So now you don't have to carry around the gift card itself. You can just use your debit or credit card, swipe it, and then it will be credited to your account because it's all set up to see that purchase and then give you the money. So it's just making that gift more accessible for the people that you love to use. We also have some stuff with choice. So if you got a digital gift and they wanted to change the brand, so they don't want to go to Target and instead they want to go to McDonald's or wherever, then they can change the brand of that gift too.
Okay.
It's just all about choice. It's about making people smile. Jason's big on smiles.
So I know you're excited that you got the job. So you're like, hey, I was interested in tech. I got the job. But knowing that it has this mission and meaning behind it, how do you feel working for an organization like that coming out of Apprenti as well?
I like it a lot. Jason, our CEO founder, does a really good job at hyping us up and just letting us know the gravity of what we're doing. Like we are building the future of the gift card world, of this gifting world. And that right there that's so exciting to think that we're working on something so important and that will help people long term. And I also really focus on the love of gifting, making it so that you have something personal to somebody else and making that time special. I just want people to smile and be happy and be glad that they can show their love to somebody else. That's why I like what I'm doing.
I think that's a noble cause. So, the apprenticeship process, I know like you were like in like the job market like before, but like after the apprenticeship process, how does that kind of frame or change like your mindset when it comes to like full-time work? Were there any like particular skills or like just things that have changed for you since then?
I would say one of the major things that changed is my perception on what I don't know, and also like other people in the workplace too, but I'll start with the first one. So I'd say before Apprenti, I have always been self-critical. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like to get things done right the first time. And so if there was a situation where there's something I don't know, I'd be like very anxious and I'm failing because I don't know this information and everything's going to burn. It's dramatic, but everything's going to burn down. But through Apprenti and my time at Academy and on the job training, I learned that like it's not an issue that I don't know it because I can always learn it. So anything, as long as you put your mind to it, if you want to know it, like you can learn that thing. And you may not know it now, but you'll know it eventually. So that was something that really helped with my confidence in the workforce and like engaging with other people and just knowing the second piece about other people, realizing that about myself. I also realized that's how everybody else works in the world, in the workforce. There are things that they know, there are things that they don't know, and we're all just learning. So as we talk, if there's something they don't know, if I know it, fine. That's completely fine. I'll share my information. If there's anything I don't know, you can share your information. And then we just grow from there.
So how long have you been at Wolfe?
I've been there for 3 years now.
For 3 years. If you were to look back now on all of the time that you spent between your old career, going into RTI, doing on-the-job training, and then being fully retained as a full-time employee at Wolfe, if you were able to look back, what would you say your biggest area of growth was?
My biggest area of growth. Let's see. I would say it's obvious, but just like my understanding of technology. So like I said, I came in with only having the knowledge of changing my MySpace background. Other than that, knew nothing. I could turn a TV off, turn it back on. I'd use a computer, but other than that, knew nothing. To think about the amount that I've grown in that amount of time, like now I know what a full request is. This is
Right.
baseline, but now I know how to use source tree. Now I know like how to break up these large chunks, these large projects into smaller pieces. Before, I think it maybe would have been really overwhelming. Like it's just so much information. But now I feel like I'm better able to break it down and understand it. Obvious, but technology.
Oh man, I did feel like a computer expert when I started doing my MySpace backgrounds. Oh my
Hilarious.
But yeah, I don't know anything about tech either.
Me neither. So I just find it really amazing because, like you said earlier, it just seems so hard and so
Yeah.
big. So to hear you all talk about it, it may have been hard, it may have been difficult, but I was able to be that much better this fast. It just really encourages me. I know it can encourage others who may be watching this podcast that may want to get into tech, but they're like, I don't know, it just may be too big or too hard.
Yeah, just exactly what I was thinking about asking. Do you have any advice for anybody who's like maybe considering applying for Apprenti PGH, but like they're not sure if they have what it takes?
Yes. So it's scary, right? Making such a big life change. I was scared. Honestly, one of the hardest parts of doing Apprenti was making the decision to commit and apply because I'm very committed to the decisions that I make. So my thought is once I apply, I'm doing it. Like I'm absolutely doing it. But it is scary. And I did think about it for a long time. And what ultimately helped me make my decision and what might help other people make their decision is to like sit down, make a list of your goals. What are your personal goals, your professional goals, even if you just have two, and then think about where you are right now in life and think, what would it take for you to achieve those goals? And is the position that you're in right now something that you can work towards that? If it is, great. If it's not, maybe a change would be good. So I basically just sat down and was like, I do think I need to make a change. And that's what led me to do this. You were mentioning how big technology feels, and even that is scary. So that's part of the scary aspect of it. But you can even like just start small. Maybe if you aren't sure what it looks like to be in technology, you can look up videos about different positions and what a day in the life could look like, and maybe use that to help you figure out maybe this is something I could be good at.
Yeah. So what would you say to an employer out there I want to hire an apprentice, but I just don't know. It may be a little too hard for me to have someone to come in and mentor them and do the on-the-job training. What would you say to that employer?
So there's two things. One, if you are interested in making a difference in your community, this is the number one way to do it. If you want to make a difference in somebody's life, it has a direct outcome. Like you can see that happening. But it's not only just like good for the apprentice coming in, it's also good for your company. It's just good business. Because if you want somebody who knows your product inside and out, what better way to get them there than to have them being mentored and trained by some of the best people at your company? Like my tech lead, Mitch Hoffman, he's been at the company, I think, for 13 years now, maybe longer, more than a decade. So he just has so much information. And I think part of the reason why I was able to grow as fast and as much as I did is because I had him in that mentorship role. And I think if you're just hiring from the regular job market, there wouldn't be that level of mentorship, that level of growth together. It might be more so, oh, this person's coming in with 3 years, 5 years of experience. They should just know how to do this, but they don't know your product specifically. So this is a great opportunity to grow from within, to have people who know you.
This has been really cool and really informative. I was curious, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we go?
I'd like to say thank you to Jason Wolfe for giving me the opportunity through Apprenti to have this job that I have now. I'd like to thank Mitch Hoffman. I've talked about him multiple times for all the support that he's giving me. Ethan as well from Wolfe, and also all of you for having me here today. I've really appreciated it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, and also so happy you went through the Apprenti program.
Sheena, what an amazing episode.
Yeah, it was really awesome to find like another perspective of another apprentice. Lainey.
Yes, and she was really great. It really spoke to what Nada was speaking to in our last episode when she said these apprentices come and bring grit, and they just bring so much energy to the workforce that it really forces other staff members to want to do better. I actually want to do better in my role because of today's
Yeah,
conversation.
it gets me really excited too to continue to learn and tell more of these stories because like we're seeing it from like all these different angles. We're seeing it from the training angles, from the employer's angle, from the apprentice like angle. So I don't know. I'm just looking forward to doing more episodes, and I do know that we will be back very soon.
Yes, we'll be interviewing Zach Berger from Industrial Scientific. He's going to really be focusing on the workforce, the trends or hiring trends, what is going to happen next in Pittsburgh with HR.
Absolutely. I'm very excited. So watch soon.
See you.
See ya.